So I have gotten a ton of questions asking about how I get my visual code to look like it does. In this video we're going to learn that. We're going to take a look at all of the extensions I'm using, the themes, the fonts, everything. So if you like these kind of videos, please let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. And also a big thank you to Shannon Galway, which is the official sponsor of this video. You can find Patreon down in the description. And let's get started. So looking at visual code, we have nothing special here. But if we would, for example, open an old project, we can take, for example, the last video, where we have this kind of project right here. So looking at this, we can see that we already have a bit special theming. So let's just go for the basic stuff, which is the font. So if I would go to font in settings, you can see that I am using JetBrains Mono. So that's for the font. I usually always use JetBrains Mono because I really prefer it, with a font size of 13. So now looking at the extensions. And for the first one is better comments. So looking at this, we can see that this gives us some nice colors for the comments. And I usually use this in projects, especially the to-do. And for the next one I'm using is Customizable UI, which lets me have these bar buttons at the bottom instead of the left side. Looking at this, we can see that it has a simple setting, which is customizable.ui.activitybar. And you can actually customize this a ton. This is the only thing that I'm actually using it for because I really prefer it. So we can see if we would copy this and go to settings, we can see that I just have set that to bottom, and that would give it this effect of having these buttons at the bottom. For the next one I'm having is the Dart extension, and that's because I usually do my development in Flutter, but I also do some other things which we will also see soon. Now probably the most requested or asked extension that I've been using is Error Lens, and this actually gives you this really nice warning and error signs. So for example, what Visual Code usually does is just give you this squiggly line under the error. And that can be quite hard to see sometimes. So I actually prefer this quite a lot because you don't have to most of the time hover the error. You can see the error right away in the code. And it usually gives you a very, very fast indication of what is going wrong. So that's one I get asked a lot. So I really recommend this one. The next one is Flutter, and that's pretty standard, so I will just move over that for now. I also have language support for Java, and that's mostly my work as I'm working as an Android developer. And this next one is Live Server, which is a very great tool or extension when you're developing web pages. Usually, for example, React comes with a live server on its own or a server on its own, which you can hot reload. But if you're working on normal HTML and CSS files, this is a great way of having that responsiveness when you're saving something and seeing it right on the page right away. And for the one after that comes Live Share. I've not been using this as much as I like to, but it's a really handy tool for when you're working with someone and you want to display the screen, for example. But instead of displaying the screen, you can display the code right away and then you can edit it and so on and so on. So I really recommend this one. It's a really nice extension. So what I also have is the material icon theme. And these are the icons that are showing in the left side right here. So these icons you can see right here is actually from that extension. So that's one I really like. And what we also can see here is that I have an extension called Monkey Patch. And this extension is actually required for the customized UI, as we're actually injecting JavaScript into Visual Code. So I'm just going to move over that as it's just necessary for that customized UI extension. For the next one is also another one that I get a lot, is what theme I'm using. And the theme I'm using is actually called OneDark Pro. So if I just type theme here, we can see that I have this OneDark Pro activated. That's one I actually prefer the most. I've tested quite a bunch of different ones. And if you have any, of course, let me know by writing that in the comments. But that's the one I'm using for now. For the next one, I'm using something called PubSpec Assist or PubSpec Assist. And that's very handy for using in Flutter development. So for example, if we would just go to a Flutter project and go to the PubSpec YAML, if I type F1, we can see that we can go to the PubSpec Assist and we can add some kind of extension. So let's say provider. And that will autocorrect it and it pretty much give us all of the different extension that has provider in it, or the provider word in it. So adding that, we will get the latest version of provider right away in our project. So that's one I like a lot. Moving along, and we have the simple Python extension. And this is just something I use when I develop or play around with different scripts in Linux. So I'm not going to talk about too much about that. And for the next one is SCSS formatter, which is just formatting SCSS files. And we also have the last one, which is setting sync. So this one is probably going to be replaced later when Visual Code releases their official or real setting sync feature. But as of now, I'm using setting sync, and that's a very handy extension for using when I'm developing on my computer here, my laptop, or even at work. And that was all of the extensions that I use. If you liked what you saw, please let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. And also let me know down in the comments your favorite extensions or even different settings that you really love to have. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.